Hello students, in previous lecture we discussed that 4 bar chain mechanism and its inversion, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss that single slider crank chain and its inversions. Okay, so in this particular video I select the diagrams, all diagrams from R.S. Khurmi book of theory of machine. Okay, so in this particular single slider crank chain, the crank rotates. This is a crank. Okay, this is a crank. Okay, this is a crank. Okay, so crank rotates clockwise or anti-clockwise. In this crank, the connecting rod is also assembled here to the crank, and the cross slide is assembled with the connecting rod, and the cross slide is also connected with the piston cylinder arrangement. Okay, so in this particular single slider crank mechanism, I just fixed a link number 1 frame, fixed it, so we got the mechanism. As the crank rotates clockwise, connecting rod moves moves into that slides, and cross sliders move backward. Okay, this is a clockwise movement. As the connecting rod got this position, then the cross slide moves forward and piston moves forward. Okay, so this is a particular mechanism of a single slider crank mechanism. In this, link number 1 is fixed, it is a frame. Link number 2 is crank. Link number 3 is connecting rod, and link number 4 is cross slide. So moving forward towards the inversion of this mechanism. First inversion is pendulum pump. In this pendulum pump, crank assembled with the connecting rod, piston rod, crank link number 2. Here the link number 4 is a cylinder and it is a fixed. Crank link number 2 and link number 3 is connecting rod, and link number 1 is piston rod. Okay, as the moment of a crank rotate clockwise anti-clockwise, the piston rod is also moves forward backward. Okay, so this is a particular mechanism of single slider crank chain inversion. Okay, another inversion is oscillating cylinder engine. In this, crank rotates clockwise anti-clockwise. Link number 2 is a crank. Link number 3 is connecting rod. Link number 1 is piston rod, and link number 4 is cylinder. In this particular mechanism, at the initial position, crank is at this particular angle of suppose this is a 60-degree angle, and the piston on this position. After the movement of crank in clockwise, the crank moves clockwise, and here it is another position, next position of crank. Then the position change of cylinder to this. From previous, this is a previous, and this is a P1 for previous, P2 for next one, piston. Okay, so this is a particular inversion of slider crank mechanism. So in next, rotary IC engine also a inversion of slider crank mechanism. In this also a crank, cylinder is link 1, piston is link number 3, connecting rod is link number 4, and link number 2 is fixed crank. Okay, Next one is crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. Look at in this mechanism, there is a number of components are there, such as one is slider, as a name of slider, slotted, so slider and slotted bar. Slider is assembled into the slotted bar. Crank is also there. This is a clockwise or anti-clockwise movement, and quick return motion. Quick return motion mechanism is for shaping machine. Forward forward motion of the tool, it is a cutting motion, and reverse of the cutting tool is fast because of time saving purpose. ठीक है, mass production of, okay. So for this particular need, crank and slotted lever mechanism is used, okay. So in this ram along with the tool is connected with the connecting rod is assembled with the slotted bar link number 4. In this slotted bar there is a slider link number 1. The slider is also connected with the crank link number 2. As the crank rotate from initial position, that is V1, at that time P1 is the slotted bar position, okay. As the crank move at B point, okay, from B1 to B point, the slotted bar is in this position because of this moment of the slider. The slider is freely move into the slotted bar, okay. This is a slider, and the slider is move in slotted bar, and due to that moment the slotted bar is moving from this point to this point, okay. This is a slotted bar movement, okay. After the crank moves from B point to B2 point, okay, at that point the crank is connected with the slider is freely move into the slotted bar, and then due to that the moment of slider, the slotted bar is from this position, P point position, P position, to the P2 position, okay. And this is a cutting stroke, okay. Look at that, the slotted bar is also connected with the connecting rod, and the connecting rod is connected with the ram, okay. This is a ram. As the slotted bar moves, the ram is also moves horizontally forward and backward. So forward is a cutting stroke, and backward is a return stroke. Forward is a cutting stroke, and this is a backward is a return stroke, okay. So in this there is a formula for time of a cutting stroke divided by time of return stroke. So beta upon alpha, beta upon 360 degree minus beta equal to 360, or 360 degree minus alpha upon alpha, okay. So this is a particular crank and slotted lever quick return mechanism. Also another inversion is withward quick return mechanism. In this also there is a slotted bar in a slotted bar link number 1, and also the link number 4, it is a slider, the same as in crank and slotted lever mechanism. In this also slider moves freely into the slotted bar along with the movement of the crank, okay. Same mechanism is here. The As the crank rotate, crank number as the driving crank link number 3 is rotate, the slotted bar is also take moment with the help of slider, okay. In this particular, the cutting stroke is in forward direction, and the return stroke is into the backward direction. And for this time of cutting stroke, upon time of return stroke equal to alpha upon beta equal to alpha upon 360 minus alpha, or 360 degree minus beta upon beta. Okay, this is a particular mechanism of without quick return mechanism is also used in shaper machine. If any queries, then please contact with me. Okay, thank you.